You are now listening to the Building Her Dream podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with introverted women entrepreneurs who are building their dream lives and businesses on their own terms. Hosted by business operations strategist, author, and the founder of Building Her Dream, Shayla Burton. To learn more about this podcast and our magazine, visit www.buildingherdream.com. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Building Her Dream podcast. I'm your host and lifelong introvert, Shayla Burton, and I'm so excited to chat with today's guest. She is Dina Schmid, a public speaking coach and certified etiquette instructor from Ohio. Hello, Dina. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shayla. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I always like to start off with a fun question. If you could wake up tomorrow and have the perfect dream life, what would that look like for you?
That's a good question. I would say for me, it's a lot of what I'm already doing because I love the fact that being an entrepreneur allows me a lot of flexibility. I don't work 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. or any hours that I don't want to have to work. So I've already got that aspect. I think in an ideal world, it would come with a better view
Okay.
because right now I'm in my basement. I don't have a window anywhere near me. I have this dream that someday in my dream day, I will wake up, cabin in the woods, mountains with a view, maybe a lakefront, and be able to do my job from there sometime. But doing this work would still be part of my ideal day.
That's awesome. Well, first of all, your basement looks lovely from what
Thank
I can
you.
see.
I fixed up a little corner of it.
Yeah, yeah, looks perfect. So, would so you would still be doing the same work, but would you still work full time or would you work less hours?
So I have the luxury of not having to work full time already, and that is
Perfect.
fortunate.
Yeah.
I've been married over 27 years, and my husband has the health insurance, so that
Okay.
is a real plus for what I'm doing. I think that I would still do this part time. Perhaps I would cut back a little bit on the hours, though. I think if I were to do
Okay.
it, maybe just a few hours in the morning. As it is, because I work with people who are employed a lot, I do sometimes have to work evenings. I do offer lessons Sunday mornings. So in an ideal world, those hours would go away.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the work that you do?
Sure. I am, as you said, a public speaking coach and an etiquette instructor. The majority of my business is with the public speaking coaching because I can reach people all over the world, work with them on Zoom. I do a lot to boost people's confidence. I work a lot with non native speakers and work a lot with people in the STEM fields. I think that's because I can identify with that having an engineering degree. My first career was as a chemical engineer. I've also lived overseas, lived in France for 3.5 years. So I know what it's like and the challenges you get when you're a non native speaker. Those are some of the people that I work the most with on the public speaking coaching, help them individualize plans, work with them to reach their goals. Means a lot of exercises that I pick and choose from with them. It also, though, means a lot of time on Zoom, which, as you know, as an introvert, is a good medium sometimes
Yeah.
without having to get out there and work a lot in person or with large groups of people, also.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, what you do is really interesting. Being a public speaking coach as an introvert, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm wondering though, like, when did you first realize that you were an introvert?
You know, I don't know that I ever realized it until I was working as an engineer and we had to do the Myers-Briggs test. the
Ah,
one that tells you whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. And at that time, I actually came out as an ambivert. I was just across the line.
mhm.
Sometimes I think I had some extroverted tendencies left over from my college days. As I've gotten older, though, I definitely fall into the introvert side of things. I recharge by getting a book, reading by myself, or watching TV by myself. That really is it. I don't get the energy from the large crowds, being with large groups. I have my same small group of friends that I've had for decades because that's my comfort. So it wasn't until that Myers-Briggs that I got the label, I think, for it. And as I've aged, I think it's intensified a little bit. So now I'm very comfortable with the idea of being an introvert. And I think it helps to recognize that, hey, that alone time is how I'm going to recharge my batteries.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to think that probably was the test, the where I really understood that, I also was an introvert and what that meant. I feel like when I was younger, I definitely recognized that there was some differences in like my personality versus like my family, but no one talked about being an introvert or an extrovert. So I didn't know why I was different. But yeah, I think the Myers-Briggs really kind of opened up my thoughts and my brain and really introduced the term and like what some of the benefits of being an introvert are or the strengths. So yeah, probably the same for me too.
Yeah, and I can definitely sympathize with you about feeling different than some of the family. My father, always very extroverted, never met a stranger type of
Yeah.
person. My brother, who was closer in age to me, I have two brothers, but the one closer in age to me was Mr. Popularity. Nominated for
Mm,
prom king. He was the president of the Letterman's Club in high school, that outgoing personality. And then there was me, who the only
yeah.
office I ran for was secretary, or no, it was historian of the National Honor Society. I just wasn't that person who was going to be up there in front of the crowds like some of my family members.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Now, so I'm so curious to find out like what inspired you to start a business as a public speaking coach.
It is an unusual jump from chemical engineer. I became the
Yeah.
chemical engineer because everyone told me I was good at math and science. That's what you should do.
Okay.
It was never really what I wanted to do. Looking back, I had wanted to be a chemistry teacher, but was discouraged from doing that. I was pretty much pushed into engineering. I still always wanted to teach. Eventually, I left engineering. I was raising my family and started homeschooling my kids. And I think that opened the doorway to finding another career. As my kids got a little bit older, I got to pick what I wanted to do next. As I mentioned earlier, I have the luxury of a stable marriage with a spouse who carries health insurance, which is important in the US. Also
Yes.
has a W-2 with a regular paycheck. So that gave me the luxury of being able to start my own business. I had always liked helping people with interview preparation, and I knew a lot about how people learned. I volunteered on a congressional campaign, ended up being the person who prepped the candidate for a televised speaking slash debate appearance. I was the only one who was
Wow.
really effective with her. It got me started down that road, got me thinking about it. I actually got hired by two other political candidates locally
Hmm.
to help them prepare speeches. An entrepreneur who had to do a Shark Tank like pitched, and I started to think, I can do this. I think this is really where I want to go. It kind of ignited something in me. I got the etiquette instructor certification as a way to back up my public speaking coaching. I've done a lot of self-education, and it's just kind of taken off and gone from there, and I love it. I've been doing it for over 7 years.
Oh wow. Wow. That's really amazing that you started off on one career path and kind of just fell into something that you enjoy and you're really suited for. So that's really, really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do feel lucky. I feel like I sort of lucked into this another way. If I hadn't had that experience with the congressional candidate at the time, I was considering trying to go back into engineering. So I think I was, I guess, blessed, you could say, to have that experience that ignited the passion. And I realized, hey, I think this is what I really want to do.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Now, so all of the majority of our audience are introverts, and many of us, myself included, struggle a little bit with public speaking. What what's something that you think can help us like manage the anxiety associated with public speaking?
Sure. That is one of the biggest things for introverts is the anxiety that can come with public speaking. I absolutely know it. I had a lot of that speaking at a luncheon a few months ago before I got up to speak. There are definitely some techniques that you can use. I find for me it's helped to understand physiologically what happens in your body when you get nervous and that it's a normal response to nerves, that increased heart rate. I feel it in my stomach. I start to feel a little queasy in my stomach. So,
Hmm.
understanding that your body is releasing stress hormones, your body is stopping digestion because it doesn't need that when it's afraid, recognizing that public speaking is something to be afraid of for a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
understanding that process, learning that even just making fists can help slow down your heart rate and get the blood flowing back to your hands a little bit. So that is one of the things that I think can really help people to get over those nerves. Another one that I like to tell people is do it anyways. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but being brave doesn't mean not being afraid. It means doing it anyways. And there's this idea that the more you do it, the more used to it you will get. And that first time it may be terrifying, it does get easier. I think that is one of the things. It's just conditioning yourself to do it anyways. And a third technique that actually can work for some people is what I would call the Beyonce Sasha Fierce way of doing it. I don't know if you're aware that Beyonce has created an alter ego for herself, Sasha
Yeah.
Fierce. I see you nodding. Or have you heard of that before?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and this idea that there's a speaker that is confident inside of everyone. I'm convinced of that. For some people, it's a matter of giving yourself permission to let her out. And that's what Beyonce has done with Sasha Fierce. So there is speaker Dina that gets up in front of people and does this. And it's not like I'm faking it till I'm making it, anything like that. It's just showing that confident side of me to people, showing a slightly more introverted side just for that period of time that I need. And then another thing is give myself the option to recharge afterwards if I'm doing that type of thing, allowing a kind of a recovery time. And that's how I
Yeah.
would do it.
Yeah, the alter ego. So I don't have an alter ego, but I see it as if I'm putting on a performance.
That
So
you
I'm
can do it that way for sure.
yeah, because then my previous like jobs, I was a HR professional, and so I did have to present all the time. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely would get queasy in my stomach as well, but yeah, I would just consider like I am just putting on a performance or I'm doing a role, but then I can go back and be myself right after I'm done. So-
Did you find it a little bit tiring to do that?
oh yeah, for sure. So if I have some sort of speaking engagement, um, even like recording podcasts, things
Mhm.
like this, or I'm facilitating or hosting something, I do have to block off time on my calendar. for the rest of the day. Um, Oftentimes, I have to block off the following day as well because I'll wake up, even though I got enough sleep, I'll still wake up and just feel so drained.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I need a lot of recharging time.
And I think people need to recognize that it's normal. It's okay
Mm.
to feel tired or even exhausted after doing this if you're an introvert, to give yourself the grace, the recovery time to do those things that will recharge your batteries because it can be a draining event if you're an introvert. That doesn't mean you won't be
Mhm.
bad at it. That doesn't mean that if you aren't drained, it's not normal either. It's just something
Right.
that can happen and is normal if it happens.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, as you are building your business, so said that you've been um, a public speaking coach for 7 years, and so have you been running your business for 7 years as well?
Yes, I
Okay.
started Queen City Etiquette back in 2017. Queen City is a nickname for Cincinnati, and I know there's other Queen cities out there, but
Mm.
I'm going to claim it for Cincinnati. And when I started that, my intent was really just to serve my community.
Yeah.
I would do children's etiquette classes. I went into businesses. I did the public speaking coaching, as I mentioned, for political candidates, entrepreneurs locally. That's really what it was intended to be. And then I started branching out and I tried offering online lessons for the public speaking coaching. I've grown the online portion, and thankfully I started it prior to the pandemic.
Okay.
When that hit, all the in-person stuff I was doing had to stop.
Mm.
It had to. So I was forced to do everything online for a while, and I found I loved it. It
Mm.
flourished. So I recently decided to launch Presenting Confidence so that I didn't have that tie to my geographical area, to better reflect that I am working with a global audience, although I will say the majority of my students do come from the United States.
Mhm. Presenting confidence.
Mhm.
I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah, I really do believe everybody has a confident speaker inside of them and that everybody can interact with others in a confident way. Even introverts, you can still be confident. It doesn't change that. And I've had people actually comment to me about me being an extrovert. As I said, I spoke at a luncheon. I do workshops in person still occasionally. And I've had people comment, "Oh, I could never do what you do because I'm introverted." Like, hey, I'm introverted too. I just do it
Yeah,
anyways. Hmm.
right, right. Hmm. So, what are some challenges that you faced as you are continuing, growing and managing your business?
Sure. One that I think is unique to my business and my being an introvert is that I get asked, "Well, where's your TED Talk? Where's your whatever talk? I want to see videos of you speaking." And I tell people I consider myself more of the backup singer. I'm the coach. If you think about it, Simone Biles' coaches can't do what she can do, right?
That's true.
They can't. So there's a little bit of a bias that we want people to walk the walk when we want to hire them as a coach of some sort. And this has definitely been a challenge for me. Yet if you think about it in sports, there's a lot of coaches that never played at the level that they're coaching. That it's really the results a coach gets that are how we should judge them, measure them by. And yet people still want to see me on a big stage. They want to see videos of me in front of a large crowd. Well, a lot of what I do is actually working with people to speak in small meetings, impromptu speaking, one on one, even. It's not necessarily even in front of a big crowd. So that has been a challenge for me and one that I've decided to meet head on. I've been creating more videos of myself, putting myself out there, which is uh, vulnerability. I think you probably have been through this too. You've got your podcast, your video, you're putting yourself out there. You know
Mhm.
that that can be difficult as an introvert. Have you experienced that same sense of apprehension, I guess you could say?
Oh, absolutely. Video is a definite struggle with for me, which is why I started this podcast because I wanted to have a way for me to practice speaking, and being on camera. And it's a lot less scary when you're the host because I control all of this here.
Yep.
So,
You know
uh,
what questions you're gonna ask, I don't.
exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, I definitely struggle um with a lot of things related to business. But one way that I help myself to kind of get over some of those struggles is by creating my own lane. So like I struggle with public speaking, so that's why I'm doing this podcast. I struggle with attending networking events. So I started hosting my own networking events.
Nice.
So
Mhm.
that yeah, so and then also with like visibility. That's a struggle for me as well. So I created an entire platform to help other women like me with visibility. So that's how I handle things. I just create something else.
Visibility is definitely one of mine. I recently found and hired a social media manager. She's going to start
Mhm.
next month because I
Yay.
just don't like doing the social media things.
Mhm.
That that visibility is so important as an entrepreneur. People can't
Mhm.
find you if you're not out there. And
Yeah.
it can be such a struggle. I finally broke down and created a mini course that I'm using
Mm,
as a lead magnet now. And that
love it.
gave me complete apprehension to just put this out there. Anyone who wants to can see me on video now,
Mm,
But I
I
love
love
what you're
it.
doing, creating your own lane and really
Mhm.
it's I guess about in some ways staying in control,
Yes.
doing it your way.
Yep, absolutely. That definitely is what it is. And like you, I too am a backgrounds person.
Mhm.
I'm great with helping other people. And to your point about how you're a great public speaking coach, even though you may not have all of these, you may not have a long public speaking reel. Um, the same goes for me in my business as well. Like I work in my a different business that I have. All of my clients are way more successful in business. They have multiple six figures, seven figures, and I'm helping them, but I don't have that. I don't have the same level of success in my own business. And so, yeah, that what you said just really resonated with me. Because I'm good at helping others. That's where like my strength really lies.
And I think we need to recognize as entrepreneurs in total that some people's strength is in helping others. And they're
Hmm.
going to be helping others more than they're helping themselves. When I was
Yeah.
looking for social media managers, I had one woman that I spoke to tell me, don't judge by my own social media profile because I'm busy doing other people's. And she
Yep.
found it easier to work on other people's social media than herself. I'm like, I get it. I completely
Hmm.
get it. I understand that.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you should probably hire a public speaking coach for yourself.
So I have gone through some classes myself, done that. Yes.
Hmm.
And it's hasn't changed my desire to be the person behind others more
Yeah.
than putting myself out there. It's not that I'm not capable of it because I am. I do
Yes.
speak occasionally. It's just that that's not where my passion lies.
That
There
makes
are
sense.
people who are what I call more externally focused. We focus on others in the spotlight, or we focus on others' success. I think this may come more naturally to women too. We like
Mm,
helping others more than we like putting ourselves first and in the spotlight.
true.
There's nothing wrong with putting yourself first in the spotlight. In fact, I love and well, as I said, I love seeing others succeed. I love seeing women succeed. There needs to be that. It's just that that's not for everyone.
Yeah,
There
that
have to
makes
be the
sense.
cheerleaders and the support people in order for those others to be successful. I like that role.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, that makes sense.
mhm,
That makes sense. Some people are really passionate about being on stages, like that
yep,
gives them energy and all of
mhm,
that good stuff. And so I guess it definitely makes sense if that's not what you enjoy. You enjoy like helping other people be great on
mhm.
stage, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people in that role. One of my favorite speakers is Brene Brown. She is
Mm,
introverted. She also doesn't like the spotlight, yet she's amazing and I think
mm,
very inspirational. She does it anyways. That goes back to what I
yeah.
mentioned, that whole idea of being brave, doing it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I would like to maybe try to get on some stages to see if I would like it. When I was younger, I was in a lot of like stage plays with for school and like
Mhm.
performing, and that was something that I really enjoyed doing. Unfortunately, like my family didn't really push me into that, so I just never continued on, but I'm kind of wondering like if I would enjoy speaking on stages. I know I would have a lot of anxiety about it. Um, but I think I would be good just based off of like presentations that I've had to do for work in front of, hundreds of people. I tend to get like good feedback.
Mhm.
And for some reason, like a lot of my speeches have always make people laugh, even though I'm not trying to be funny. So,
You can be engaging and
right.
as that type who is that externally focused, one of the ways to make that easier is to focus on the value you're bringing to the audience. The idea that the
Mhm.
audience needs you to be up there, that you have a
Yeah.
message, you can help a lot of people. A larger stage, a summit of some sort, is a great way for you to help a large number of people in a short period of time. That focus can take the spotlight off of you. You shine it on your
Yeah.
audience instead. I find that to be a great way to help. Another thing to remember, Shayla, if you do step out on that stage, is that your audience genuinely wants you to succeed. I
Mm,
think we get up there a lot and we think all eyes are on us. They're going to nitpick every word I say, every gesture I make. When the truth is, it's their time. They want you to succeed. They want value from you. They want you to make their time spent listening to you valuable. Nobody gets up there hoping that you're going to mess up, or
right.
nobody's in the audience hoping that you're going to mess up when you get up there. That's really the way it
Yeah.
is. The only time people are rooting for you to fail is a political debate. And then half the crowd
Mm,
wants the one person to fail and the other half wants the other person to fail. But if you're getting up
right.
at a summit, at a conference, TED Talk, they are rooting for you to succeed.
Yeah. That's a good thing to remember. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, people need your message. They want to hear it. And that
Hmm.
takes a little bit of the pressure off of you.
Yep. Okay. What's something in your business that you're really proud of? So maybe like a success or a milestone that you've reached.
I would say a lot of what I'm really proud of is the success stories. I have one that just immediately popped into my mind was a woman who had taken on a new job. She She was out in San Antonio and she was nervous. She talked about just the sweat just dripping off of her hands, terrified, yet she was in this outreach role where she was
Mhm.
going to have to be giving presentations to business leaders, to people of high importance in the community. She was absolutely terrified. And I remember the email that I got from her, and she's like, Dina, I did it. And there's like 5 exclamation points afterwards. She was so proud of herself. And likewise, I was so proud of her. And those are the accomplishments that I love. That's what
Mhm.
I am most proud of is the success that my students have had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it does feel really good when you can help someone else out and actually see the results of the work that you've done with them.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure you've had similar experiences yourself. Mhm.
Yep, absolutely. I make sure that I journal them so that I don't forget because every so often imposter syndrome creeps in. And so I need those reminders to tell me that I'm good at what I do. So,
Yes, imposter syndrome is always a battle. In my line, there's also the spotlight effect,
mm,
where you feel things more intensely, you sense things differently when you are speaking and you think that the spotlight is on you. I've had
mhm,
students telling me they think for sure everybody notices their hands shaking or how nervous they are, only to review a video later and realize it really wasn't that noticeable. Or maybe
right.
you've had that experience where you take a pause and you
Mhm.
think, "Oh my gosh, that was so long." Your audience doesn't even notice it. So
Yeah.
add that, that spotlight effect on top of imposter syndrome, and you
Mhm,
can get some very, very nervous speakers.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about like having to recharge a little bit earlier. What are some strategies that you use to recharge and maintain your energy while running your business?
Sure. So one of my things is to keep a clear delineation, like a break between work me and home life, family, friends me. I
Okay.
actually get up in the mornings. I get dressed. You talked about playing a role. It's almost like playing a
Hmm.
role, actually, now that I think
Yeah.
about it. I get dressed head to toe. I even
Mm.
wear my shoes. And when I am working, I am working. And then at the end of the day, I change and it's like, whoosh, okay. I
Mm.
am just, at home me now. Take off whatever business attire I've got on. A lot of times I wear a blazer. It kind of signifies that this is work
Oh.
me. It's just really hot here today, so there's no blazers going. It's definitely too hot for that. Though
Yeah.
that is actually one of the things that I find helps. Another one for me is actually exercise because I do it alone a lot of times. It's a solitary thing, and I can listen to my music that I want. I get in my
Mm.
groove, I work out. I find that to be one of the best for me for recharging. And snacks. Who doesn't love a good
Yeah.
snack?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the getting dressed in your work clothes is really a good strategy, especially for those um of of you who have families. So then you can not only for you know when you're in work mode and personal life mode, but your family can know too when you have on your blazer, you're busy. Um, I'm trying to think about how I maybe can incorporate that. So I don't have a spouse or kids, so I just roll out of bed and I start working. Um, but I'm trying to think like would that help me if I, got dressed and made myself presentable. And then once I was done with work, put my pajamas back on. So,
So I think it really helps. There's been studies done about that type of behavior where you get up, you get dressed, your
mm,
clothing. This comes from the etiquette side of my business. That idea that we dress for success. We dress the way we
Mm,
want to be addressed. You may have heard those types of things.
yeah.
That being in a business dress, and I say business dress because it's going to vary for anyone. I'm not
Right.
saying business casual, business formal, anything, but having that idea of putting on something that signifies that it's business me has been shown to benefit people. In fact, it's been shown that doing what I would call the Zoom mullet, business on the top and pajamas
Mm,
or party on the bottom, actually really can decrease your productivity. There's a dissonance. You
mm,
see yourself on Zoom, you're all business, you look down and there's bunny slippers on, or you've got your
right.
flannel pajama bottoms. That has been shown to not be a way to be productive. So I
Mm,
do find mentally it does help if you get up, you get dressed. I have to give credit to a woman who went by the Fly Lady. This is decades ago. I'm going to date myself. I thinking maybe the 90s. She talked about
okay.
the importance of getting up and dressing head to toe, and that meant hair, makeup, all of that. First thing in the morning as a way to set the tone for the day. There's a lot of other things. I read the book called Make Your Bed, and in that one he talks about the first act of the day is making your bed. It's that idea that you do something that sends a signal. Okay, we're ready for business. Today
Hmm,
is today's going to be a good day. I'm productive already. I've got something done. So
interesting.
you could give it a try. I'd love to hear from you if you do give that a try. See if it makes a difference
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll try that for like a week or two. I won't have on a blazer, but maybe like my branded shirts.
Sure.
That might
And
help.
creating a uniform for yourself
Hmm.
takes
Yeah.
away one decision. It prevents
Yes.
decision fatigue. So if you want to get up every day and put on a branded t-shirt and jeans and have that be
Hmm.
your work uniform, have at it. I think that's a great way to
Yeah.
do it. I've heard of women who've gone out and bought entirely white tops and black bottoms because it's easier and it
Mm,
all mixes and matches. So whatever works for
yeah.
you is the way to do that.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Um, yeah. So, the most recent issue of the Building Her Dream magazine, we talked about rest and having fun and just really enjoying life besides working because a lot of us entrepreneurs we work all the time. We're like 24/7 in our businesses. What's something that you do for fun?
I have a group of friends that we go out to a new restaurant once a month with. That
Hmm,
is something I do for fun. These are friends that I have known for decades. We've been
yeah.
together for over 25 years. We check out a restaurant the third Saturday of each month. Whoever
Hmm,
is in town at the time, we go. And that to me has been a lot of fun. So that is something that I do for fun with other people. For myself, it is definitely exercising. I take a dance class and I will admit to dancing at home by myself. I because I just love music, all of that, and that is definitely something I do for fun.
I love it. I love going to restaurants because I don't enjoy cooking. So whenever I can get to a new restaurant, I'm happy.
I understand that. I definitely have had those cereal for dinner moments myself
Yeah,
because who has time to do all that cooking, right?
right, right. Exactly. Well, Dina, it has been really great chatting with you. Before we go, I wanted to give you an opportunity. If you wanted to share anything else with our audience, you can absolutely do that. Or if you just want to let us know where we can find more information about you and the services that you offer, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, I would just like to let people know there is a confident speaker inside of them. I want people to understand that you can release it and still be an introvert. If they want to hear more from me, I'm still not the best at social media. I do post regularly on LinkedIn, so connecting with me on LinkedIn, and my name is spelled DinaSchmid, is a great way to do that. I do offer a mini course for people to boost their confidence. You can get that. I have a landing page. It is speakshinesucceed.com/home. You can sign up for that and get that course if you would like. Hopefully, people will feel a little bit better after listening to me and feel more confident. To quote Nike, just do it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, we'll definitely check you out on social media and your website. And yeah, again, Dina, it was just really great chatting with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me, Shayla. It was great talking to you.
You're welcome. And thank you to our audience for listening. This has been another episode of the Building Her Dream podcast. If you've enjoyed it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, leave us a review, and stay up to date with what we're doing by visiting www.buildingherdream.com.